Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Peloton bike from a road biker's perspective. I'll tell you some of the pros and cons, some of the things that I like the most about it, and some of the things that I don't like so much about it. Just to give you a little bit of perspective, as you can see, I'm not in the best shape. I try to ride a little bit to maintain fitness. And just to give you a little bit of an example, I ride anywhere between 1,000 and 2,000 miles a year outside. So that gives you a little bit of perspective of where I'm coming from. But anyway, stay tuned and hopefully I'll list some information that you'll find useful. Thanks so much. And do me a big favor, please like and subscribe. That'll really help me grow this channel. I appreciate it.
All right, I'll go over the pros a little bit first. The number one pro for me has been the Power Zone rides. That's something that Peloton introduced maybe a year or two ago, maybe a little bit longer. I just discovered them back in January of 2020, but they have been a game changer for me. The Power Zones, it splits up, I think, into 5 different power zones, if I'm remembering correctly. I haven't ridden them a while because I've been riding outside lately, but they really allowed me to train harder at some points and actually less hard at other points. I have a tendency to overtrain, and these things kind of got me into the right groove. I rode them this winter, and then when I came out and actually rode on the road, I ended up riding a lot stronger, and I attribute a lot of that to the Power Zone rides. The second pro I would list would be the pro cyclist they have. Right now I think they may only have Christian Vande. They had some other pros in the past, but I think they've gotten rid of those videos, unfortunately. But they're both fun and interesting and just good rides all around. Those pro cyclists obviously know what they're doing, and it's just kind of fun to listen to some of their stories and some of their training techniques. The next thing I'll list as a pro would be the compact time frame. You know, sometimes I just don't have a ton of time to train. Maybe I only got 30 minutes. Maybe I've got an hour total. And I can grab a quick 30-minute ride, and since there's no coasting or anything, you're working pretty much the whole time, or it's easy to work the whole time if you want to, and that just really condenses down the time frame, which is super handy because that's one of the biggest complaints I hear from my buddies often is that cycling just takes so much time. So there's some nice short rides out there, and that's really helpful for the compact time frame. The next pro is no vibration compared to outside. I'm going to make a video about this, but earlier this spring I bought a one-wheel electric skateboard and promptly wrecked it the first day I had it. Messed up my shoulder and arm pretty good, and as I was healing from that, I couldn't go outside and ride on my bike. I tried to ride around the block even, and it was too much vibration. It was hurting my arm way too much. So I came in and tried to ride on the Peloton, and that lack of vibration was extremely helpful. Helped me stay in shape a little bit while I was injured, and then get me ready to ride outside to get on the road. Okay, the next pro that I'll list is that they offer some short classes, and we already mentioned that earlier, but those short classes are also helpful if you haven't been riding at all for a while and you're just trying to get back into shape. You can do one of those 5 or 10 minute rides and start at that point. And that's a lot easier. You know, if I'm going to go outside, I'm going to go for a lot longer, 5 or 10 minutes, but inside it's just super convenient to just jump on for 5 or 10 minutes. So it makes it way easier for me to get into shape if I'm starting from zero. The next pro I'll list is that there is a power meter included. I don't have a power meter on my outdoor road bike. They're pretty expensive, a few $100 at least, and they go on up from there. So I don't have one. I'd like to have one. I do use the Strava simulated power meter that if you look back on a ride, you can kind of tell your average watts to get an idea of what it would be in the average range for the entire ride, but you don't have any sort of instantaneous feedback. But you do on the Peloton, and so that's really nice to see. They've got it right in the center of the screen for you, and it's really easy to see. In fact, that is probably the number one metric that I look at, is that power meter. All right, the next pro that I'll list is the scenic rides. Sometimes I don't want to take a class at all, and since I do prefer road biking outside, It's my favorite, at least. I'll just ride a scenic ride on Peloton. Basically, it's just a simulation of them going down the road, and they've filmed it. So it's not the best in the world. It's definitely not as good as riding outside, but hey, if that's all you've got something. All right, the next one I'll list is that it's safer than riding outside. Sometimes there's a lot of traffic where I live, and I'm a little bit apprehensive about going out with all the traffic, and maybe I want to ride at a high traffic time, and I just feel like it's probably too dangerous, or at least more dangerous. So that's a great time to ride Peloton. It's just a lot safer. Maybe it's wet roads. I don't like to ride on wet roads, so maybe I'll just ride on the Peloton. Bringing wet roads up, it's also another pro that it's just a better all-weather option. Maybe it's super cold out or super hot or super windy, whatever the weather condition you don't like. Hey, the Peloton's inside in a climate-controlled environment, so that's really nice. Obviously, that's a pro to road biking. And then the 10th pro I'll list is that it's convenient. Again, I talked about that super short time frame. Sometimes that's all I have to ride. This thing's right at the house. I don't have to go to a gym, so there's just no excuses. It's sitting right there. I can just use it anytime I want. It's super convenient. The last pro I'll list is that my wife loves it. I know I've said that on some other videos and you guys have laughed at me, but hey, that's a big deal. I spent a lot of money on road bikes, and my wife wanted a Peloton, so hey, we got one and we both love it. But it is a big pro to me that she loves it because she won't ride outside with me on the roads, so this gives her something to do as well. All right, the next category I'm going to list is both pros and cons. I'm going to list watching TV as a pro and a con. It's a pro that I can watch TV, but it's a negative or con that I can't watch TV on the integrated display on the Peloton. I actually have it set up in our bedroom, and I didn't already have a TV in there, so I bought an additional television that I mounted right over the Peloton. All right, now I'll come to the cons. I don't have very many cons, but my number one con that I have against Peloton is that there's no Zwift integration. I think that would be some really low-hanging fruit that Peloton could integrate if they wanted to. It seems like it wouldn't be all that hard for them to do, but you're kind of locked into their ecosystem. I've tried to figure out a way to make it work with Zwift, but I haven't come up with a great solution yet. I've come up with some kind of halfway solutions that would probably work, but I haven't done that yet. Another con is it's pricey. I think we pay $42 or $43 after tax. That is for my family to use it, but it's still pretty pricey. So that's definitely a con. And then the last con I'll list is, to me, it's just not as good as being outside. So it is inside, it's not outside. But all in all, there's a lot more pros to the Peloton from a road cyclist perspective, in my opinion, than there are cons. Does this mean that I'm giving up road cycling anytime soon? Not a chance.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you found this video informative. If you did, please do me a big favor and like and think about subscribing. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you guys later.